All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. I'm going to start off with order out of chaos, and this is off of Google AI Overview. Order out of chaos is translated in Latin as ordo ab chao. This phrase, often used to signify the transformation of chaos into order, is famously known as the motto of the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite in Freemasonry, symbolizing the creation of structure and wisdom from disorder. Key details: the meaning, it translates directly to order from or out of chaos, often used in philosophical and, as suggest, Masonic contexts to represent the creation of order from disorder. The origin: the phrase is particularly associated with the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, with early usage found in the Franken manuscript of 1783. Significance: it serves as a reminder to establish structure, harmony, and purpose out of chaos. Variations: a similar alternative phrasing used to express a similar sentiment is ordo e chao. So now I'm going to jump into this article that I came across. This is off of a cryptocurrency website, and the website is bitget.com. That's bitget.com. Dark skies, $200 in oil and XRP. Analyst ties macro chaos to tokenization. And before I start that, let's just look at this term, macro chaos, real fast. So I asked, what is macro chaos in economic terms? Macro chaos in economic terms refers to a state of extreme simultaneous instability across multiple major macroeconomic indicators and global systems, making traditional forecasting and investment strategies ineffective. It is characterized by high volatility, unexpected shocks, and a breakdown of established economic norms, often described as a shaken snow globe where old certainties no longer apply. I'll stop there and I'll get right into the article. And this was published March 31st of this year, just a couple of days ago. A popular analyst devoted to XRP has stitched together energy crackdowns, UFO speculation, war risk, and AI anxiety into a singular macro thesis. The path to a great reset runs through tokenization and ultimately through XRP. The latest YouTube video by Common Sense Crypto leans heavily on geopolitical and technological fear to argue that a crisis-driven overhaul of the financial system is coming, and that XRP holders who don't sell too soon could be major beneficiaries. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Energy lockdown, $200 oil, and the global reset. The host opens with a proposed Dark Skies Protection Act in New York City, which would mandate non-essential lights being turned off between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., with Times Square being exempt. Common Sense Crypto links the measure to World Economic Forum, WEF, ideas and warns of higher crime, framing it as an early form of energy lockdowns that could spread through other countries. citing recent commentary that crude at $200 in a barrel could trigger a 1929 style crash. The host argues that constant mentions of triple digit oil are preparing the public for a shock move higher. And this goes back to order out of chaos. These guys, they can't just do something. And this is historic. Basically anything that these guys do, they're going to always put this in your face. They're going to give you every clue that something big is about to happen. They can't just do it. It's like like I've said in a couple of old videos I have up. It's kind of like prophecy, but off the left hand side. They have to let you know what they're going to do before they can do it. And just like it states here, the host argues that the constant mentions of triple digit oil are preparing the public for a shock move higher. A scenario of $150 to $200 in oil a barrel oil, he notes, is being connected to bank failures, power cuts, institutional bankruptcies, and a forced shift to a new monetary system of printing endless money. I want to scroll down a little bit further. Common Sense Crypto points to BlackRock's push to tokenize everything, including private companies and sites. WEF discussions about tokenizing natural resources like water and trees. He argues that tokenization is inseparable from a cashless society, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and digital identity requirements. And that's what this whole thing is about here. You create these institutions, you push these institutions into widespread panic to the point where everything starts collapsing, and then you present the solution. And in this particular case, this what's known as tokenization here, it's inseparable from a cashless society, as this particular paragraph just read. And this is what it's all leading to. So once again, no matter where you turn, no matter where you go, it all comes back to this MOTB, Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18. So we're right here at that time. And what used to be hidden, they're now putting it right in front of your face. It's up to you to be able to discern and decipher actually what's real versus what's fake. A lot of times, well, I'm not even going to get into that, but I was about to say, I just really don't know how there could be anyone right now that can even still argue against this. They're literally putting it right in your face now. They're telling you this is exactly what we are going to do. And this is why, once again, it says, he argues that tokenization is inseparable from a cashless society, central bank digital currencies, and digital ID requirements. This all ties into the MOTB, which is indeed the RFID micro CHIP. So I'm just going to get into, I'll read a little bit further. In his scenario, buying a house would mean purchasing 100% of the tokens tied to that property, or risk effectively paying rent to minority token holders. Digital IDs, health data, and work history all feed into this system. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, he contends, is likely to be distributed via CBDCs with expiry dates and clawback features, possibly even conditioned on implanted chips for some recipients. I'm going to read that one more time. UBI, Universal Basic Income, he contends, is likely to be distributed via CBDCs with expiry dates and clawback features, possibly even conditioned on implanted chips for some recipients. So once again, no matter where you go, it all comes back to this. And this is ultimately what the end game is here, which is total control, complete control over the masses. And they're going to do so by reestablishing order. And part of that is going to consist of the masses receiving a mark. and this particular mark would be in their hand or in their forehead or somewhere, you know, along that part of the body where, it'll be connected to the skull or brain. So this is exactly where we are right now in history. And we are right here just now, really starting to get knee deep into Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18. And I'll read that one more time. Well, I'll just actually read it for the first time, I should say, but in this video. Revelation Revelation 13 Revelation 13 verse 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And so we come back to the article that I was reading off of bitget.com. Digital IDs, health data, and work history all feed into this system. Universal basic income, he contends, is likely to be distributed via CBDCs with expiry dates and clawback features, possibly even conditioned on implanted chips for some recipients. I want to get into this term here, tokenization. Tokenization is the process of replacing sensitive data like credit card numbers or ownership of real-world assets like art or bonds with a unique, non-sensitive digital identifier or token. It enhances security by making stolen data worthless to hackers and increases efficiency in finance by enabling faster digital trading on blockchains. So a lot of times when you use Google AI overview, I should say, you have to ask more specific questions, and you'll eventually get the answer that you're looking for. Sometimes you have to word these things in such a way to where it'll give you the most concise and specific answer possible. So I asked, will tokenization lead to RFID implants, as we just read in the article? Tokenization, the process of replacing sensitive data with unique digital identifiers, tokens, is a security mechanism that facilitates and enhances the use of RFID/NFC implants for payments and access control, but it does not inevitably mandate their adoption. While tokenization provides the necessary security for these technologies, the adoption of human implants remains a voluntary niche choice in body hacking or biohacking circles rather than a forced outcome of digital security practices. And I've gone into this several times in the past. No, they literally cannot force you to do this, but they can start removing things or denying you access to certain places, grocery stores. Your kids can't go to daycare because you're unable to scan your hand or your kid's hand. You can't pay your car note. You can't pay your car insurance. They don't have to literally force you to do anything. They can just paint you into a corner to where life becomes so difficult now because you're basically cut off from society. You're basically off the grid at this point, to where it leaves you no choice but to voluntarily go and get it. So it's not necessary. It's not literally forcing you. It's more like painting you into a corner. So let's see if there's anything else from that article. I do believe that was the last paragraph. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to get into there. But like I was stating, all of the pieces are basically in position. We're just one step closer to this beast system, making the MOTB mandatory. And once again, the MOTB is indeed the RFID micro CHIP. So just like the first paragraph, though, I want to go back to that first paragraph that I was reading. The first paragraph basically stated that UFO speculation, war risk, and AI anxiety, all of that there. And I'll also add something else like pandemics. These things have been manufactured. These are all manufactured crises. The ruling class elite, for the sole purpose of having complete control over the countries and ultimately the people, they manufacture these things. So all of a sudden now there's energy crackdowns, UFO speculation and sightings all over the place. Some of that may very well be Project Bluebeam, you know. But some of the footage I've seen, I don't think is Project Bluebeam either. But some of it is, but some of it I do not think so. But basically we're at that point where, all we really can do is put all of our faith and trust in the Most High, Yahweh Bashem and Yahweh Shai. And just like I'm about to go into Isaiah chapter 33 here, Isaiah 33 and 6 in the KJV, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem and Yahweh Shai is his treasure. So we see all of these things here, just as this article stated. Right now we're in a time where there's UFO speculation, the risk of war is high, there's AI anxiety. People are getting more, starting to face anxiety because you don't know if you're going to lose your job. You don't know if you're going to go to work one day and you're reading a company-wide email, hey, if these are the positions that you have, you may only have 6 more weeks to go, before they don't need you anymore because AI is going to take over your position. So these type of things, like I was stating, the ruling class elite, they're feeling comfortable now. They're feeling comfortable enough to put this in your face. They don't necessarily have to hide any of this stuff anymore. They don't really have to work in secrecy anymore. They can this is how they do things. They can take someone like Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang was relatively unknown in politics, but he just ran for president. He obviously lost, but he ran for president on a platform of universal basic income. So you would think that, okay, well, he lost. That means nobody voted for that shit. But guess what? Universal basic income, or UBI, I should say, is all in your face now. Everywhere you turn around, that's what you're hearing about. So like I was stating, he ran on this particular platform of UBI. He loses in the primary. But all of a sudden now, UBI is all over the news. It's all over social media. It's in your face everywhere you turn. So which lets you know that, it really doesn't matter who wins or loses these elections. The election process itself is all ceremonial. It's the illusion of democracy, or having a choice, and telling people that these particular politicians, they work for you. you know it's all bullshit basically. So they have to let you know what their agenda is, and I think I just mentioned that a few minutes ago. you know they have to let you know it's kind of what you would call prophecy off the left hand side. They have to let you know what they're plotting, what they're planning and scheming. Now, whether anybody pays attention to it or not, that's a different story. But for the most part, they put these things out there right in front of you. They were letting you know that universal basic income was coming, whether you voted for it or not. This is why they put Andrew Yang up there to run for president, knowing damn well nobody knew who the fuck he was, and most of this country is still, driven by the ideals of capitalism. Most people in this country believe that all you have to do is go out there, bust your behind, you work hard, you work all the overtime you can, you play by all the rules or whatever. Even if you break a few rules here and there, for the most part, if you work hard in this country, you'll make it. So when somebody runs on a platform of universal basic income and it's straight up socialism, and you see that his ethnicity, I do believe he is Chinese, and you're looking at communist China, what they're going through over there with, every time you turn on the damn internet, you're seeing a bunch of people homeless in China because their social credit score keeps going down and shit. So this is what they do, though. They put this stuff right in front of you to let you know it's coming, whether you voted for it or not. So here we are right now, and this UBI thing is on the horizon. There's basically, getting around this. And, you're not going to vote your way out of this right here. So it just lets us know, though, that we are one step closer to getting the hell up out of here. So I'm not going to make this video too long. I'm going to end this with Matthew chapter 24 and verses 13 and 14. And I'll read this in the KJV. And this is Hamashah Yahushai speaking. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.